Okay people, welcome back to this next tutorial. The objective of this tutorial is to show you how to create the tyre that's going to accurately attach to the rim that you've just revolved. So a few things to look at first is that the sketch that we use to trace for that profile actually doesn't have a tyre drawn on it, but on the canvas that we brought in, if we look down the bottom here, we can see that this one here actually does. So what we're going to do, we're going to move the canvas from this position up to this position, and then we're going to use this general shape of a low profile tyre to then give us that shape up there. So the first thing to do is to edit the canvas. So let's go to the canvas here, right click and edit, and then using your arrows we're going to move the canvas up into position. So I'm just going to continue to use those arrows to get it rough in the right spot. That should be pretty close straight away. In fact, that only needs a tiny little bit of adjustment. I think that is the x-axis, so if I go 705 perhaps, that was the wrong way, so I'm going to make it 695 perhaps, and it's probably needs to be 697. I'll split the difference. So you can see here it's just touching, or looks like it's almost touching the rim here, and it's almost touching the rim here. Okay, so we can now leave that canvas in that position, so click OK, and it's still fairly opaque, so we can see if we draw a line over it. So what we can do now, we can use the position of the existing sketch as reference points for this edge here. What I mean by that is we're going to click on the sketch tool, create sketch, and once again I want you to select the sketch that the canvas is on, so you can see it pre-highlighting there. Zoom back over there again, and I'm going to project the shape of the profile that we drew before to give us some reference here. So sketch, project, where am I? Project, there it is there, project. And I'm going to select that line first, then I'm going to select this one second, because part of that line is going to give me the shape of my tyre and part of that line as well. And there's two selected, click OK. And now I'm going to zoom in at the top here, and like we did before, I'm going to use my spline tool. Where are you? Spline, fit point. And I'm going to start the profile for the tyre where the tyre would meet the bead here. Click once and then use that same technique like we did before with your spline tool. Now you can see that this drawing of this tyre is fairly realistic. So I'm going to click over to here. We can change that a little bit later on and zoom in here again. Remember, we can change a lot of these points later if we have to. And then I'm going to also bring it down and snap it so that the tyre was touching the inside edge here also of the rim. That's probably where I want it to finish, so I'm going to click OK. I can see here I need to change that. Oops, I'll get out of that option. I need to select that and need to move this control point so it's flat-ish. Okay, and then I'm going to have to muck around with a few things there as well, but I won't bore you with that. The next thing we'll need to do is to make the tyre hollow. So still in sketch, back to my spline. Where are you, spline? There you are again, fit point, and this time click a point somewhere where you can actually see the shadow of the tyre touching the profile, and do a similar process on the inside this time. I might put a few points in there. I think that's going to help me out when I start to make it the right shape. Now this isn't exactly perfect, but that's okay, and finish it there. Now if all's going according to plan, if we now hit stop sketch and you select that, you can see you've now got a profile that we can revolve. Okay, so the sketch is done. Let's now go create and revolve. Select the sketch as the profile, select the axis. Now this is where we need to find the axis. At this point here, you can see, the axis is, where is it? I can't really tell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that tire off. It should be that point there, but I'm just not too sure. So I'm going to turn the tire off so I can actually see it, the rim I should say. And the axis should be in line with this center point here, which is actually that blue line there. Okay, now if you don't have a blue line there, you may have to draw a line down through the center of that. Okay, there's the center, there's the axis 360. Once again, it's going to be a new component. And okay, and once it does it, we'll obviously rename that to tire, and we'll have a look in 3D. I'm going to turn my rim back on. That's just the shape of the other one. That's okay. Oh, that's interesting. I'll move that then. Okay, back to that. I haven't done any joints on there yet. Now what I will do also here is show you how you can do a sectional view so you can see inside here. So first thing I might turn off is the canvas. So just turn that off so I can see a few things a bit easier. And I'm going to use the section tool. Now if you look up here under the inspect icon, the very bottom, sorry, not the better one, the third one from the bottom says section analysis. Click on section analysis, and it's asking you for a face that's going to act as the sectioning plane. Now if you can't highlight it easily, you might need to spin things around. You're after one of these vertical faces to then cut through the whole object. And then you can spin it back. You can use your icon up here to look at 90 degrees. Okay to that. And you'll see here up in analysis now, you have this section. I can turn that on, I can turn it off. And you use that quite a bit to then be able to do a fair bit of more modeling here, especially when it comes to the wheel nuts. Okay, so that's probably enough for that tutorial. Once that was just the same process we did before. We moved the canvas. We then traced over the profile of the tire, we revolved the tire, and then we put a sectioning plane through so we could see that it's all lined up. Okay, let's do, and let's